Hello, Bike with Me 21, a very tropical Belgian gardens of Queen's Gardens. Now, Belgian Gardens is the suburb just adjacent to Rose Bay and many kilometres of beachfront parkland. See some of my earlier videos in this list to see what I mean. So Queen's Gardens is in the suburb of North Ward. However, like a lot of people, we tend to misname stuff, so it became Belgian Gardens to me because of the travelling bicentennial held in 1988, and we talked about Belgian Gardens just to confuse everyone. Got it? I was part of it back then, and I'll show you a couple of pictures. And so you can see how centrally located it is with the Castle Hill right there in the background. And the buildings that were to my left were the old hospital. And initiated in 1817, Queen's Gardens is the oldest botanic garden in Townsville, and its heritage listed now covering 4 hectares. It's reduced from its original 40 hectares, and it's a considered fine example of the tropical garden era of that time. Originally established as a trial acclimatation garden for European settlement, in which potential food and economic plants were trialled along the area of colonisation. Today the gardens are a lush green oasis set against the dramatic pink granite cliffs of the Castle Hill. Now as I go in here, I'll just show you a shot that you can't ride your horse, you can't drive a car, and you can't ride a bike, so I've got to push it around. So what I've done is, I'm sorry for the wobble as I walk through, and I'll just show you various highlights, and I've taken some more still shots towards the end of it to give you some Pacific plants. Now to the left of me are the old aviaries. Now like everything else in Townsville, because the tourism industry is dead, they're giving work over to various remakes and remodelling, and this Queen's Garden is no exception. And as I walk over there used to be rose gardens. Now roses don't grow that well here, it's just too hot, and they were established by Pat Andrews, so they put up a new aviary, and these are the talking cockatoos and corellas that we have in the collection, and they'll scream out to you and cry for your attention, and they can talk and say all sorts of things, and they really are an attraction. And unfortunately all feeling a bit sad because there aren't that many people coming around to say hello to them. Okay, you can see it's very shady, and the big trees established by Pat Andrews all those years ago. Unfortunately some of the best trees were lost due to fungus infection after cyclones broke them, and they died. This is a problem with all very big things, but as you can see, it still is a nice place where people come and sit and have picnics, and there are very Pacific areas where you can have activities, and it's very well used, and it's locked up at night of course, and open during the day. Now as I'm going through, I'm coming up to an area which shows you Castle Hill in the background, and there is a memorial to its 150th birthday, which was of course last year, 2020, and there it is. So it shows you just how well placed it all is. And there used to be a fountain in the middle there, and of course the water restrictions during the drought was horrible. It's very easy to look at a tropical place and sort of say, oh well, it's always green and grown. Not necessarily. This is dry tropics, and it can be very, very tinder dry. So I'm coming down to one of the exit gates. There are walkways everywhere, but some of them have been closed because they've been renovated, updated, new plantings put in. So I've taken a few still shots of some of the favourite plants which I like, and the first of course are all the big leafed Alocasia species, and they're magnificent, they can grow huge. There's the events lawn, and it just shows you some of the big trees. That's a bottle tree, that comes from the area where I was born. It's a bit out of its climate. And then you have all these tropical walkways, and they're big old mangoes or tamarins. In the sunny areas, I've got a cacti collection, which of course grow rather well, and then you've got the more lush type of plantings. Now, you're getting some more of the unusual thing. Now, this one is the black bat flower, and see it has black flowers, and it flowers in the dark, and there's a white form of it too. I've got these growing at home, and they're a bit fiddly to play around with, but anyway. Everywhere are these big fig trees. They're right through Asia, and that's one of my favourite plants, the fire spike. And you have these very big giant tree ferns. Australia's got quite a few species. Some of them grow down the cold. Now, to my left here used to be the old morgue, because the buildings across the road are the old hospital built in an Art Deco style now. It's all been moved, of course. And those units, the locals have a joke and we call them the salmonella units. So you can decide what you want. But anyway, I'm just going down here to show you the context of the gardens where they are. If you keep going down, that is the Strand. So the ocean is very close by. So you can imagine when there is a cyclone, there is cyclone damage to the gardens here and to this very area. And as we swing around the corner, past one of the world's ugliest buildings, you'll see that this is where the gardens used to extend to. Now there's a state school. In Australia, state schools are primary schools, or they're called high schools. That's what the senior schools. And these areas, a little bit further along, you can see big sort of parklands which are now used by the school, but they used to be part of Queen's Gardens, and this is why that Belgian garden thing came in, because this is where World Expo, the travelling bicentennial, was held, and I was part of the pottery group at the time, and we had a tent in there, and tens of thousands of people came to see it. And you can see how dry it is, because that was a very dry year. There's droughts throughout that time. Okay, so we're just now heading back home, and for the next bike with me, I'm thinking of going to just the west of the home. Remember, this is a very big city. It used to be 2 cities. You can travel by car well over an hour and still not get out of the place. So by bike it's many kilometres, and we will just go through some of the new places that have been built and have a look at the city, because I haven't been out there for a very long time. And since we've had a bit of rain, it'll all look a bit greener than it usually does. And you can see the big puffy clouds. We're expecting rain again tomorrow, and when we have rain, I do mean it will be rain. Okay, well, thank you for biking with me, and welcome to Townsville, and check out my other videos. I've got a new series of Dear John letters, and I really would like you to catch up with those. See you next week.